Welcome back to Read Aloud with Miss Godfrey. We are reading chapter 28 today of Schooled by Korman. Today's chapter is very short and very sweet, and it's from the perspective of Mrs. Donnelly. So if you remember, we left off yesterday with Sophie picking Capricorn up from Garland. Very unexpectedly, he was going to try to hitch a ride into town to go to the Halloween dance, but Sophie ended up coming to see him and taking him there herself. And so when they got there, they realized there wasn't really a dance going on. Something was going on. People were dressed up like Cap, but they don't really know what's going on. So we're going to pick up today chapter 28 from Mrs. Donnelly's perspective and see if we can get a little bit of information about what is actually happening. So without further ado, chapter 28 from Mrs. Donnelly. It says, "Well, of course I was worried. It was only her first full day as a licensed driver and she'd been gone for 3 hours. I'd moved past the anger stage. I was no longer even miffed about being stranded at home without transportation. I was already making deals. If Sophie comes home in one piece, I won't even strangle her or even ground her. Please, 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 God, let her be okay. To take my mind off the anxiety, I was cleaning out the spare room where Cap had lived for 2 months. I have to say he was the tidiest person in the house as opposed to Sophie, who used the floor as a display rack for all of her clothing choices. I couldn't find so much as a speck of dust that had come from Cap. As for clutter, the boy had nothing, so he couldn't possibly leave it lying around. There were a few pieces of schoolwork. One was an essay entitled, 'The Most Important Invention of the 20th Century.' What had Cap chosen to write about? The telephone? The computer? No. Duct tape. In spite of my nervousness, I couldn't contain a chuckle. I remembered Garland, for duct tape had served every purpose except for food. In fact, my sweep netted only one other item, a slip of paper neatly folded in the nightstand drawer. It says 1. Effervescence, bangle, multicolor stones, engraving. All you need is love. My heart turned over in my chest. Sophie's bangle. It was from Cap? He had that much of a crush on her? No, he had pretended it was a gift from Bill. In my job, I knew that pure kindness with no strings attached was pretty rare. This boy was an absolute angel. Whatever problems I had with Rain, I have to admit that she had raised a truly wonderful kid. I stared at the scrawl at the bottom of the receipt. Paid by check. Oh no. I remembered the school's bank statement, the check to the jewelry store. In his innocence, Cap had purchased Sophie's bracelet with the money from the student activity fund. I raced to the telephone and dialed Frank Casigi. He wasn't picking up, so I tried his cell. "What?" barked the assistant principal in a very harried tone. "Hey, it's Flora Donnelly. Frank, I found out about the check that Cap wrote to the jewelry store." "Never mind that," he snapped. "Meet me at the school. There's some kind of riot going on." I was alarmed. "Because you canceled the Halloween dance?" "I don't think so. My custodian called me. The parking lot's full of kids with candles. They told him about some kind of memorial service for Capricorn Anderson." I was thunderstruck. A memorial service? Cap isn't even dead. "Well, you seem to be the only one who knows that. That's why I need you there. You're the closest thing to family he has in this town. Maybe you can convince everybody." "I can't even get to the school," I protested. "Sophie has the car." "Sit tight. I'll pick you up in 5 minutes." My hands were shaking as I hung up the phone. Sophie was missing, the school was in turmoil, and rumors that Cap was dead. What was going on here? Alright guys, that's it. Chapter 28 was like short and sweet and to the point. So, Mrs. Donnelly, she's stuck at home because Sophie's out with the car. She decides to kind of clean up Cap's room, and she discovers that Cap was the one that sent the bracelet to Sophie. Not because he had a crush on her, not because he liked her, but because he is just such a good person. So she calls Mr. Casigi, and Mr. Casigi's like, "We got to go to the school. Something bad's going on." So we will find out tomorrow what happens with that. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow right here for Read Aloud of Schooled by Korman. Have an amazing day, guys. See you tomorrow.